Let me honor your death wish.
Alright, what's up guys? It's Roku back with more League of Legends content, and normally I make Darius videos, but my Mordekaiser guide just took the #1 spot on Mobile Fire, so I'm gonna make a quick little Mordekaiser Season 11 item build guide for you guys, and let's just jump right into it. This is live, but yeah, I just hope my chat isn't too distracting. Anyway, so like the items for Mordekaiser in the new Season 11 are actually really, really strong. Like in the current state of things, Mord just isn't strong in the preseason because like there's just no balance right now. But I think in Season 11, Mord has a lot of great item options, and we're just gonna get right into them. As starting items, we have the same two starting items, D-Shield and Doran's Ring. So, you know, Doran's Shield into more defensive matchups, and then D-Ring into more aggressive matchups, because, you know, D-Ring, although, like, the mana stat is kind of wasted, right? They kind of changed it so that you get 3 health instead, which is a great amount of sustain. And the extra AP and HP really lets you, like, you know, be very aggressive into easier lanes, or lanes where you want to fight more. Whereas D-Shield is just lanes like range matchups or Fiora, for example. Yeah, fuck Fiora. Anyway, so our early rushes have not really changed that much, except for Seeker's Arm Guard. What they did with Seekers is that it's now 900 gold instead of 1200, so Seekers just got way cheaper. So like if you're up against like a difficult sort of AD matchup like Darius or Renekton or something else like that, then a Seeker's Rush is like a must. And actually it's just 900 gold, so you can basically get it on your first back, which makes it an insane option. Tabi's into hard AD matchups, Bramble into Fiora and other sort of lifesteal attack auto attackers that use Bork, like Kled and shit. Well, Kled doesn't use Bork, but Bramble is very nice into Kled. And Blasting Wand if you just got a kill and want that sick power spike. Alright, so our biggest item for Season 11 is Rift Maker. So, like, some people might say that Protobelt, whatever they named it into, Protobelt is a good option, and Protobelt is a great option sometimes because after you dash, it gives you that movement speed, but that's basically the end of Protobelt's usefulness. Rift Maker gives us ability power, HP, ability haste, Omnivamp, which is very strong in the new season, and it gives us this very sick new passive, which is that it's like one of the passives of old Legendaries, where for every second in combat, your damage is increased by percentage, and the sick part is that the damage percentage is true damage when you fully stack it up, which is just amazing. And the Mythic passive just adds up to your E armor pen, so you just destroy people with this item. You destroy tanks with this item, you destroy squishies, and you do very well into these big, beefy, conqueror-using bruisers who just want to get into fights with you, because this item gets stronger the longer you are in a fight, so once you get someone in that ultimate with this item, they're not walking out of it alive. So that's the Mythic item you want to be building most of the time, if not every single game. Now let's just get into our item pool. So with Mordekaiser, in general, you want to have 3 damage items and 2 tank items. We're not counting boots, right? So if you want to go for a more damage build, you can go for 4 damage items and then 1 tank item. Or if you want to go for a more tanky build, then you can go for 3 tank items and then 2 damage items, right? So with that in our mind, let's just look at our damage options first and then our tank options. So the big new item that we have for Mordekaiser is Demonic Embrace. Now this item is so insane because it gives us this percentage health max magic damage, which is kind of like the other passive of Legendaries, but on top of that we get 10 armor and magic resist, right? So like this is like an insane item because it makes you tankier in fights and it gives you a sick amount of HP and ability power. So this item combined with Rift Maker makes you a very like frightening bruiser, and you just get stronger the more like the further you are into fights, right? So Demonic Embrace is very nice for team fights. Nash's Tooth is kind of like Demonic Embrace, but it's better for 1v1s. It doesn't have any sort of sick passive, but it has a lot of ability power, 100, and a lot of attack speed. So if you're kind of fighting more 1v1s, you can build Gnasher's Tooth after Riftmaker. But if you're fighting more team fights, or you're fighting with your like jungler more, ganking more, if you like, you know, fights with more than 2 enemy champions basically, then you want to go Demonic Embrace after Riftmaker. The difference between these 2 items is that you almost always want Demonic Embrace. Like, Demonic Embrace is a very, very powerful item, and if you're playing Mordekaiser and you're not inting, you shouldn't be caught dead without this item, right? This is a very, very sick item. Our next item, Rylai's, is still as good as it used to be in the last season, but it's just not as good as Demonic Embrace or Gnasher's Tooth. So you mostly just want to go for Rylai's Crystal Scepter when you're like basically playing just for your team, right? You're not really a damage threat. Like, you're against a ranged top laner like Vayne, or you're against like Fiora, and you can't really get fed, so you're just going to play with your team. So Riftmaker, Rylai's, and then, you know, Zhonya's and a full tank is what you're going to be doing into these hard sort of range matchups where you can't really get fed, right? But if you do get fed, then we don't really need this item, right? It's just basically there if you're losing lane, right? Zhonya's is still an amazing item into AD compositions, so if you find yourself rushing Seeker's Armguard, you can buy Zhonya's later on into the game. And keep in mind that once you have your passive activated on Mordekaiser, it will still be like active while you're Zhonya'd. So if you just like ult someone, and then you kill them or you can't kill them, and you suddenly appear in the middle of the enemy team. So instead of just getting one shot, you activate Zhonya's, and any champion who stands next to you will get affected by your passive, right? So you just deal damage while being invulnerable, which is very, very sick. Morelos is the same as last season, it's just better for grievous wounds now. So if you're up against like an Aatrox or something, or someone who just refuses to die, you can get this. Banshee's Veil is against hard AP matchups, so if there's someone like a Syndra or something that's making your life hell, you can go Banshee's Veil. Those are all our AP items, and now we get to our tank items. Now the best tank item in the game for Mordekaiser is Spear Visage. It's so good that like it's good into AD compositions, right? It's so good on Mordekaiser that you can build it into AD compositions. I know it sounds stupid, but just look at the stats of this item. Health, magic resist, ability haste, regen, and they've added a buff where it not only increases all healing, but also all shields. So your W shield, your Omnivamp, everything will be just multiplied by like 0.25 extra. So like, it's an insane item. And if you have to buy a tank item on Mordekaiser, always start with Spirit Visage. Then it kind of depends on what you're up against, right? You can go Dead Man's Plate as your next tank item if you're kind of fed and you can basically just run around the map and kill everyone, but you know, you still need some armor. And you go Randuin's if they have someone that's really fed, like an AD champion who's really fed, like a fed Yasuo, a fed Yone, a fed Samira, a fed Assassin. If they have one of these champions, you go Randuin's instead of Dead Man's. And Force of Nature is not very good on Mordekaiser because like Spirit Visage just works way better with him. But let's say you're up against a full MR team, they can go Spirit Visage and Force of Nature. Here I have a very basic example build where it's Riftmaker, Demonic Embrace, Gnasher's Tooth, your boots, build whichever you need, and then your 2 tank items. So like, you know, you can mess around with this build if you want, you know, more tank items if you're playing more tanky, more damage items if you're playing more damage. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this item guide. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.